especially the prayer and just the circumstances that night. And it even took it to the next level when about a week later we went to the junkyard and we looked at the car. We got to examine the car and look at it. And basically the police officer told me, had I not been sitting in the middle, if I'd been sitting in the passenger seat, I'd have been killed instantly. Because that side of the car was crushed to the ground when the car flipped. And so that really got me to thinking just about faith and God, and does God have some kind of special plan for my life because of this? I mean, what's going on? And so gradually, I won't say it happened immediately, but gradually I started to go to church for me and not for Aaron. There was a transition there. In fact, we broke up, and it was kind of interesting because at the time we were both kind of leaders in our youth group, and when we broke up, there was this like big split in the youth group. People were taking sides and stuff, and I remember Aaron and I, as seniors in high school, we kind of like sit down with the youth group one night and just kind of say, guys, we're not taking sides here. This is about God. It's well, you shouldn't anyway. But it did. It changed. Everything kind of changed. I started studying with Aaron's dad. I've told Dave about this before. Bless his heart, he wanted to start in the Old Testament. I was studying with him 2 nights a week for 2 hours because I got really interested in it and wanting to know more. And so we were studying the northern and the southern kingdoms and all the
Israel, by the way.
Yeah, all the kings and the bad kings and the good kings, and I'm thinking, yes, no, what is this? And just to be perfectly honest, I was, but there was something I saw in him, and it was just his passion about it and his concern for me, and there was a lot of things. And anyway, I started out dating Aaron, and then ended up with a whole family in a lot of ways. And so that's kind of a longer version, but
that's a great version.
But anyway. So.
Now, remind me, how old were you all when you started dating and all? When did this?
We were 16.
Okay.
We were 16. So I just turned 16. I had my license about a week when I picked her up for the first date. Okay. So Dad was very trusting.
And you were, when did you become a Christian? At what point in this?
I became a Christian in 94. So probably we were dating Rec. It was probably about 9 months after. But even when I became a Christian, I was still doing a lot of stuff for Aaron. I'll just be perfectly honest. And I made that decision to follow Christ, but I tied way too much of my faith to my relationship with Aaron. And that's definitely changed over the years. She's still a great support to me, but I felt like in the beginning I tied too much of it to her.
Did you ever imagine in your wildest dreams that you'd be a youth minister working at a church, helping other people, particularly young people, come to those kinds of decisions? And I mean, that couldn't have been part of your blueprint.
Never. I am the only person in my family that's ever gone to college, that's graduated from college. Actually, I take that back. I have a cousin that went. She didn't make it through. But basically what happened in my hometown is you either went into the horse business or you worked at a factory. And that's where I thought I'd be. I remember my senior year, I had already made the decision that I wanted to go into ministry. And my dad was not excited about that. He wasn't, mad about it or anything, but my dad was always in business. I mentioned some of the stuff business. He was, a politician, all these things. He was always into business of some kind for himself. And he wanted me to go to UK. He didn't want me to go to school. He wanted me to go to UK, and he wanted me to major in business and things of that nature. And I said, I really want to go into ministry. And my youth minister actually had a big impact on my life because he invited me to go along on retreats as the junior high retreats when I was in senior high. And I get to speak at some of the junior high retreats and get to help out. And I went to a youth ministers conference with him when I was a senior in high school. And so, so I kind of made that decision. I can still remember my sister being so upset with me because the new Toyota plant was opening in Georgetown, Kentucky. And they had come over and given tests to high school graduates looking for employment, and they offered me a job, and my sister saying, what are you doing? You're turning down, it was like $22.50 an hour or something like that. You turn down all this money and all these things, and man, it was tempting. I can't say that it wasn't, but I was like, no, this is what I want to do. I want to go to Harding and borrow lots of money and go into debt and be a minister. But God took care of that as well. So
the retirement plan's good, right?
The retirement plan is great benefits.
So it's hard for you probably to put into words or in brief words. What was the biggest influence? It sounds like there were several different things on you and how God was working in your life. Anything else you'd want to add? You mentioned your youth minister. You mentioned Erin, of course, and her family, and just the impact of that accident and kind of the realization.
I would say, just person-wise, it would have to have been Erin. I can remember her sneaking. She wasn't supposed to talk after 10 o'clock, but she'd sneak the cordless phone up to her room and opening up our Bible over the phone and me asking her questions and talking about it. And those were some of the best conversations, spiritual conversations. I think we used to go and sit on her porch. She lived out in the country, and we would climb out. She had a second-story room, her sister did, and we'd climb out and sit on top of the porch and just sing. It was me and her and her sister, so that was kind of rough, me being the only guy. But those times were just so special. And probably that, but I think more than anything, just the consistency of the people who cared about me, and it wasn't an overnight thing, and I think even today more so, people are looking for deep relationships. They don't want a 3-point sermon to come to Christ. They want to see Christ lived out, and they want to see it consistently. And I think that's what people respond to. I think it's more of a relationship thing. So,
well, I appreciate you, and I know you're willing to talk to anybody about this. I mean, I've heard you and I have had these conversations, and of course the staff, and many of you all probably know Andrew's story. He's been very open about that, sharing that when it's useful and helpful. So if anybody ever wants to talk to Andrew about it, I know he'd be glad to.
I've had a few people come to me actually that kind of in the same boat where family's not Christian, and I'm more than happy to talk to them about that.
You're a blessing, brother.
So, thank you.
Thank you for now get down to your
get down to
your teen thing.
I've got some teen guys downstairs that are.
That's where the smoke is coming from, I believe. No, I'm just kidding.